flames rise up, stand the price, the loss of legs. My occupation, in essence, not complacent. Block the banquet, stop the computation. I'ma make the coda, fools just wanna make the quota. They can't rock around here, they need baking soda. This a hydra, no way they taking over. Lay them below the basement with snakes and cobras.
This is Shawn Crystal. Catch the Inkpulp podcast on PharcydeTV Wednesdays at noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Come hang. Peace. This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life. Welcome to the Inkpulp podcast. I am your host, Shawn Crystal, and today we are going to get into the third installment of this How to Draw the Human Head. And we've covered simple shapes, and then we've covered some masses, geometric planes of the anatomy of the head, and now we're going to address lighting of the head. So when you understand the geometric planes of the head, then adding shadow is actually quite easy. It's such a difficult thing, but if your masses are correct and you just shade them in, you're going to see a sculptural looking drawing, something that has volume and dimension. So let's first talk about how light works. So here I've drawn a little sphere on a table, and we have light coming down from this direction. Now, it's important to remember light exists in 3 dimensions. It has depth, and it's bouncing off of every surface it touches. So as it hits this table, it bounces back, and that's going to give us what we call reflective light. Okay? So the first thing we do is we separate our object into 2 masses, light mass and shadow mass. Your light mass is your mid values and your highlights, and your shadow mass is your core shadow, cast shadows, and reflective light. Alright, so light rains down upon this sphere. So first thing I'm going to do is separate into 2 masses. Okay, we've got a light mass and a shadow mass. Okay, so here we've got our light mass, here we've got our shadow mass, and we will work to bring the midtones into that. I think the first thing to do is to define the core shadow. So the core shadow is the darkest part of the shadow. It's where light wraps around and starts to turn away, and where reflective light wraps around and starts to turn away. Those 2 masses come together and form a very dark core shadow. So let's just illustrate that point. So this is kind of what a core shadow is in a very simple manner. And as I wrap around the sphere, I remember I've got some reflective light hitting right there. So I'm going to do this in a way that leaves that reflective light to be seen. And we can always work subtractively. It's important to remember that when you're drawing, it's not all just an additive process. It can be subtractive as well. And I think when you work subtractively, you're bringing something nice to the table. And the core shadow, the shape of it should really describe the volume of the form you're drawing. So this core shadow I'm putting in right here describes the spherical form. Okay? Now, let me get in the edge here. Let's just darken our sphere. Okay, So the next thing I'm going to do is add my midtone, and right now the best way for me to do that is simply by smearing. Another technique of drawing. So if you've got your midtone in place, and again this is just a crude and quick example of the theories and the concepts I'm proposing to you today. Alright, then what's left is to hit our highlights. So right here where the light is hitting it, we'll get a nice highlight. And then I can remove, and this is, kneaded erasers are great for this, lifting. So erasing when you're rubbing removes it, but lifting lightens. So I can just get a little bit of lifting to occur in there. And that's just the basic principle of lighting. So let's apply that to our figure. So if we know light is coming down here and we understand our masses, it's really just a question of shading in all of the masses that aren't facing the light. So that brow doesn't face the light. This side of the nose doesn't face the light. This plane of the cheek and this side of the face doesn't face the light. Okay, this plane of the lip, the upper lip, which tucks under, we talked about that last time. Remember this example here? That's not facing the light, so it's going to be in shadow. The bottom lip is facing the light. Under the bottom lip is not facing the light. Okay, got your little chin plane right there. Okay, you've got this plane right here. Got that plane right there. Okay, the bulk of that ear plane. Alright, so you can see how simple that was. It was just like the shapes were there and I just filled it out. So from there what we can deal with is cast shadows and indicating where they are. So let's just say your nose has a little cast shadow here. Okay, and there is a plane to the chin there I want to address, so let's address that. Alright, so now you've got your light mass and your shadow mass. Now if you follow the core shadow, I'm just going to darken that in real quick here. Okay, and like on the nose you can have some core shadow there, so it's lighter in there. And so essentially you've got your reflective light coming into here, your main light source coming into there, you've got all your shadows where they need to be, and what I didn't do is I didn't shade under there. That is a plane that is not facing the light. And that's just the simple and you know, quick and dirty explanation of how lighting works, how to use geometric planes and masses of anatomy to understand lighting and all that jazz. Now from here, sure, you can finesse your drawing and make it not crude. I mean, I made it pretty crude. And you can have a pretty intense reflective light source. There's all kinds of things you can do here as we get into some more advanced concepts. So I don't want to get too deep into advanced concepts. This is a basic introductory explanation of how light and shadow works. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. I hope you can practice this, and this quick and dirty or quick and simple explanation will be explained in greater depth on Inkpulp Instruction in the near future. And if you enjoyed this, I encourage you to go to inkpulpinstruction.com, sign up for my newsletter. You'll get a free lesson in return, and look at the episodes that are available now and get yourself one. The goal of Inkpulp Instruction is to make learning art enjoyable affordable, and different than you've probably had it explained before. So thanks for listening. Please leave comments below and ask me any questions. I'm available. And there's a link below for Inkpulp Instruction 2. And get involved, because in 2022, Inkpulp Instruction is going to expand greatly, and we're going to go to subscription service. So thanks for your time. Peace. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.